Hi, and welcome to the Global Educator Support Series. I'm Tina Pehi, member of Global GEG. Educators around the world continue to find strategies to enhance student learning experiences. The goal of this video is to help educators returning to the classroom to incorporate best practices for closing the remote learning gap. There are five strategies to closing the gap that I'd like to share with you. First is to have your students work in small groups. One of the ways you can do this is by using think, write, pair share strategy. You may pose a question, give a minute or two for your students to think and write their answer, then have them discuss with a partner, and then have a couple of your students share their answers with the class. Next is feedback. Another way for educators to help close the student learning gap. Personalize student feedback by being very specific to respective students and write and explain in a way that your student will understand. Good feedback should be administered to a student in response to their work in a timely fashion. You might also want to focus on the learning process and not just the finished product, project, or presentation when giving feedback to your students. Let's move on to how we can personalize student learning. One of the strategies to start with is pre assessment. You have to connect prior knowledge to the lesson at hand. A couple of ways to do that include concept maps and KWL charts. Those two are great strategies to find out what the students already know and what do they want and need to know. And finally, allow for the students to be able to connect what they learn throughout the lesson. Students are more engaged when they took part in the creation of classroom principles as opposed to rules that are just imposed on them. Same goes with the lesson objectives. Students are more empowered if they have choices from the very beginning. So, the tip for that is to make sure that students are involved in creating essential agreements. It's important that we think about students' progress, not just in their current grade level, but how these learning experiences are related to other grade levels throughout the curriculum. That's why the last tip is to make sure that as an educator, we consider vertical alignment. It's also a good preparation for students to see their learning progression. Have you returned to work? Please share your top reflections. You can find a form linked in the YouTube description for this video, along with links to resources which support returning to work. Thank you for watching. Be sure to watch the other videos in the Global Educator Support series.